Good afternoon, everyone. How you guys doing today?
Hello, Orlando. Howdy, people.
Hey, Scott. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course, of course. So, how is business? How is Brickle?
Brickle is just exploding. It's
Yes,
exploding.
it's exploding. Yes, everywhere in Miami, things is happening.
It's no longer the yuppie white Anglo-Saxon Protestant upscale neighborhood it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally like little Manhattan, and with a lot of the good comes some of the bad. We have more homeless around. We have more crime around. So right now it's pretty similar to every other neighborhood in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Still think it's a great place to buy and live. I live here,
Mm-hmm.
but I've seen it change significantly in the last 3 to 4 years since COVID hit.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if everybody agrees with me or not. Feel free to disagree, but that's just how I see it.
Yeah, because you are in Brickle, so you see the changes daily.
Right. I'm in
Makes
Brickell City
you.
Center in Reach, which is one of the bookends of Brickell City Center. And I
Mm-hmm.
also lived in Brickell Heights, which is right next to Mary Brickell Village. And I almost bought in Flatiron, which is right there in the middle of everything, where the Sexy Fish restaurant is. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I still think the pluses outweigh the minuses. I like living here, um, but it's changing.
Yeah. Well, it's changing, but change is good. Change
Changes
is good, especially for us in Miami.
with change comes opportunity,
Yes,
and that's
always.
what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, right. And especially, I'm very excited about this meeting today because we are bringing a lot of important informations, and there are many good things happening, and we're gonna point that out today, and that's the reason why I'm very excited, especially about today's meeting. John, once again, thank you for being here with us. John is also bringing some great information as always.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Orlando. Hi, everyone. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, John,
It's a lot of books behind you. You've read them all?
I got to try to make myself look smart. That's how
Yeah.
I do it.
It worked.
It does, right? It does. It call out the attention. Look how many books. I noticed the same thing, but didn't make the comments. But you did it for me.
The reality of it is, when I went to law school back in the 80s, we had to use books.
Yeah.
There were no computers, unlike when John went to law school. And
A couple years ago? Yeah, everything's online.
everything was done by books.
Mhm.
And so having the books behind you was usually your law library, because you'd be sitting at your conference table, you'd have your law library, books behind you. And but that's now quite outdated because we don't even look at those books these days. Everything's on the computer and Westlaw, and it's changed.
And it's way faster to find anything. You don't
But
need
it's
to go to index. You just search
it's so
for
much
it.
easier.
Gonna
So much
show you the
easier.
page.
I can remember spending hours in the law library researching issues, which now you can do in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Now you don't even have to do it. AI can do it for you, if you
Right.
believe it.
Yeah.
That's another
True.
topic for another day. So
That's a topic for another day because it's growing every day. Every day I see more and more AIs doing something amazing that could help us in many different areas in our life. It's
Yep.
amazing. Yuri's here also. Thank you, Yuri, for being here. Everybody else, I'm excited to have you all here. As I mentioned in my comments and my post, we put people together to work, prepare the contents, to present them to you. And it's always a rewarding to see people attending to the meeting because I can hear you, Scott. You say something? You muted.
No, I muted myself because I was talking to Jennifer.
Oh, I saw your mouth moving. I thought you.
It's always moving. You don't
It's
have to
always
hear me,
moving.
but it's always moving.
So it's good to see you all here. You know, it's an award for all of us to that sat down and then did the work, prepared all this meeting, all this good information. There's no many people doing the same thing out there. John is here to make the same comment because he is involved with so many other brokerages. And what we wanted to do is always bring something new and something excited and give tools to you guys so you can be successful in the things you're doing. So today we're going to be talking about NAR. John is going to bring some updates because it was changed from July to November, and also clarifying some other topics that people are still not very comfortable, or they don't actually know exactly what changed or what will change, or if there's anything that's going to change at all. So also Scott point out when we did the presentation for Mercedes-Benz residences, because Scott lives in Brickell, he brought up some good points, and I told him, look, it would be a good idea if you bring that to the meeting. And he said, well, man, I'm up to it. And you know, John and Scott has been a great assets to the company since the company started in a few years ago, and we're still working together. And I appreciate the contribution that you guys bring to the company. Thank you. And I will bring some updates on the real estate market. And I brought some people from the social media because I have so many agents asking me, Orlando, how we put the words out there. How can I reach out to buyers and sellers? Because those things that's happening are really excited. But how can I go out there and say, hey, people, look what's going on here? So that's why I brought Alex. I know Alex for many years, and I'm going to introduce each one at their time. With no more delays, John, thank you for being here. You're the first speaker. Please, the word is yours, and you have our attention. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you, Orlando. Yeah, as they say, what a great lineup we have this afternoon for you. So I'll make mine pretty short. This is more of an update. We've talked about this before. This is regarding the NAR, National Association of Realtors settlement that was entered into in March. Basically, as a reminder, plaintiffs sued NAR and several other large brokerages for under antitrust laws for price fixing. They claimed that sellers are being forced to pay 6% commissions. We, as realtors, know that's not true. There's always negotiation available, but somehow the plaintiffs won the lawsuit. And so settlements were entered into without dragging out appeals and things like that. So basically what happened was it boils down to two main changes that NAR is going to implement once the settlement is approved. And as Orlando just mentioned, it was originally going to be approved in July, which is a couple of months away, but now that's been pushed back to November. And they don't really give a reason why they're doing that, but now it's toward the end of the year. So until that happens, what I'm telling you in the next two rule changes aren't going to take effect until the settlement is approved. And not only that, just recently, there was a lawsuit entered into by buyers seeking what's called an injunction to halt the commission suit settlements. So now buyers, they got attorneys to sue to maybe halt the actual settlement. So what's happening is there's still a lot going on. There's still a lot unsettled. So basically what you need to know is it's business as usual right now until the dust settles and the settlement is agreed upon or approved by the court in November, or maybe it'll get pushed, or maybe the injunction will halt that. So worrying too much about the settlements now is, I don't think, a good idea, because we still don't, there's a lot of unknowns out there of when this rule is going to be implemented. But once it does get implemented, it's basically two main changes, as I referenced. The first one is offers of compensation to buyer agents will be removed from the MLS. Now, just listen to the wording there. Offers of compensation to buyers agents will be removed from the MLS. So the section on the MLS that says offers of compensation to buyer agents will no longer be there. So you can't put 3%, 2.5%, or 2%. This is a rule that NAR is going to implement once the settlement agreement is approved. Please note, this is not a law. This is not case law. None of this is being implemented on the legislative level. This was just a lawsuit brought by plaintiffs that now will be entered into in a settlement agreement. So there's no law coming out. There's no case law coming out. So if you have any sellers that say, oh, I heard there's a new law that says I don't have to pay buyer's agents, or I don't even have to pay seller agents, it's just not true. It's not what NAR's official position is. And actually, NAR's official position is offers of compensation could continue to be an option consumers can pursue off MLS through negotiation and consultation with real estate professionals. So that's NAR's official position. NAR's position is not, hey, you shouldn't pay your realtors. Just the opposite. NAR wants realtors to be paid, and they're saying it's negotiable. And it always has been negotiable. It's not a change there. So what does off MLS mean? Off MLS is basically everything else except MLS. Emails, phone calls, text messages, websites. You can put the offer of compensation anywhere else, just the settlement was don't put it on the MLS. Okay, fine. So it's still out there. So please note that realtors can still get paid by sellers and still get paid, sellers can still pay buyer agents. The second rule that the settlement agreement is going to adopt once it ever gets approved is NAR agreed to require MLS participants working with buyers to enter into written representation agreements with their buyers. Now, what does that mean? It's basically going to be a form. What that form is going to be, we don't know, but NAR will produce that form when they're ready. And once they do, we'll have another meeting, we'll go through it, and we'll explain exactly what it is. But right now, there is no form. So there's nothing to use right now regarding written representation agreements. And we don't even know what's going to be in there. I'm assuming it's going to be just a bunch of disclosures and a whole bunch of, hey, you don't have to use a realtor, but we recommend it. So, and that's an assumption on my part, and I don't like to make assumptions, and I don't think you guys should either. We don't know what's going to be in these written representation agreements. So there's nothing to use right now to represent buyers. So these two rules, and it's just these two main changes, that's all there is. There's nothing else. There's no laws, as I mentioned, that say we don't have to pay agents. When will this take effect? As I mentioned, it's been pushed to November already from mid-July. So will it get pushed again? We don't know. So it's just, we're on standby. We're waiting to hear what the court is going to do. And then one final position is, does this affect compensation amount paid to listing brokers? Again, NAR's official position is compensation would continue to be negotiable and should always be negotiated between agents and the consumers they represent. So it's basically right now, you can put offers of compensation on MLS. The forms are there, the sections are there on the MLS to put offers of compensation, so you can continue to use that. Basically right now, it's business as usual. And once we get more information, we'll update you as well. But right now, nothing really has changed. So if you have any questions, or Lynn, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
All right, John, just one thing that I want to add. I heard about a few buyers and sellers waiting for July, now waiting for November. Now, is there anything to wait for?
So yeah, no, there's nothing to wait for. There's nothing affecting the seller. There's no law coming out in November that says, hey, we don't have to pay commissions. Just the changes, there's not going to be a section on the MLS to put offers of compensation, and buyers have to use a buyer written representation agreement with their agent. That's basically the only two changes. So there's nothing to wait for. There's no law coming out. There's no rule coming out. There's no changes really to offers of compensation. It's still going to be negotiable. Sellers can say, hey, I don't want to pay any commission to the buyer's agent. Okay, fine. We'll put that when someone calls and asks for a showing, they're going to ask me what the offer of compensation is. I'm going to tell them 0, and then let's see how many actual buyers or offers we get. So again, the market's going to control kind of like what it does now. If you have one seller in the building offering 0 compensation, and you have another seller offering 3, that seller's going to get offers, and the seller who doesn't offer any compensation to the buyer's agent is going to get 0. So it's going to be market driven as it is now. So actually nothing is really going to change.
All right, John, thank you. Anybody has a question for John?
If you do, you can call me. My cell number, Arlindo has it, and my email is available. I have a 2 o'clock. I'm going to try and stay on as much as I can because I like when Scott talks. And you also have other good information from you as well. But I'm going to take off around 1:30. But if you have any questions or comments, email me or contact me.
All right, John, thank you so much. You being.
I do have a question.
All right, now,
Okay.
go ahead.
I do have a question. So yes, so let's say that hi, it's Natalie. How are you?
I know.
So let's say, okay, so he said, okay, the seller is not offering any compensation, right? Today with Zillow, people can go to Zillow and say, okay, I want to see this apartment. This is what I want to see, okay? We, representing the buyers, we have to take them there, even if we know that the buyer is not offering any compensation. So, I'm sorry, the seller, I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what should we do? We have to take them there. We cannot say, okay, I'm sorry that the seller is not offering any compensation. I cannot.
Right. So then you're going to have to sell yourself. And there was a great list of things that you're going to offer to the buyer as a realtor that says, okay, well, you're still going to need representation since the seller's not offering any compensation. I still have to get paid because there's a lot of things I'm going to do for you. So then you have to enter into a commission agreement with the buyer.
And John, I'm going to run through those list of things and reiterate what Arlindo talked about previously.
Okay, great. But yeah, Natalie, you have to now sell yourself and sell what you do and the importance of it, because it really is important. That list is huge of the amount of things you guys do. Sometimes you don't realize how much you guys do and what value you bring to buyers and sellers, but you do. You guys are important. There's a lot of things you do, and you're going to have to sell yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, back to you, Orlando. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Now, one thing to think about, it's not to be concerned about what's going to happen in November. So right now, as John mentioned, business as usual, right? So when November comes, we already seen that in a little short of time that this thing happened in March, we're in May, like 2 months later, we already have buyers suing NAR to hold this decision. There's so many things going on that we don't even know what's actually going to happen in November. And why are we going to be concerned about something that is going to happen in November? We're going to do business as we always were doing business before. Of course, we're going to be prepared. And that's the reason why we did the meeting our last meeting. I was point out all the important jobs that we offer to buyers. And also, John helped me by sending a list of bunch of different services that involved our industry. And I posted in our chat. Scott is going to briefly mention some of them. So what is important is that nothing changed. Everything is still the same. And if something will change, it's still 7 months from now. So, or 6 months from now. So let's not be concerned about that and do business as usual. Go out there, find buyers, find sellers, do business. And that's why we're in business for it. Good. Now, if anyone have any more questions, feel free to ask questions. Now, I'd like to introduce Scott. Many people may not know Scott. Scott's been a great asset to the company, like I mentioned before, and also a great friend of mine. And he, as soon as we opened the company, he offered to be our legal advisor, free of charge, just to help the company and help the agents, which I really appreciated, and I appreciate our friendship. Thank you, Scott, for being here with us and bring your support to us.
Absolutely. May I?
Yes, go ahead.
So actually what I'm going to talk about is going to focus on that last question. And that is, how do you convince a buyer that they need an agent, that they need you? And if you learn these points well, and I'm going to rehash through them quickly, you will have the tools you need to convince that buyer that they need you. They don't want a dual agency, okay? They shouldn't have one agent representing the seller and the buyer, because that agent is not going to act in their best interest. And you need to convince them of that if they're even raising that issue. So what points can you bring to the table to convince the buyer they need you? Number one, you can get information to them and for them that they can't get elsewhere. They're not going to be able to get it themselves. They need somebody that's in the industry, that has access to the resources, and can get whatever information they need to make a good deal. They will not be able to properly negotiate what title company to use. If they walk into a deal and they don't have an agent, the seller's agent is going to check off that box and they're going to put in their own title company. Whereas if you are representing them, we're going to put John. John's going to do the closing and John's going to look out for your interest. So that's an important factor that you need to make sure they know. If you're not represented by an agent, other side, the seller is going to pick the title company that's going to do the closing. You're at a disadvantage versus you check it off. We pick John, and you've got somebody in your corner that's looking out for your interests. So remember that. Who gets to choose the title company? Closing dates. Seller's going to want to close as soon as possible. They're going to try to put in their 30 days. I've even seen some of them go for less. You want more time. You don't want to be rushed into this and find that you're then requesting an extension. And if they're not going to give you an extension, your deposit money is at jeopardy because you couldn't close in time. So your agent is going to push for 45 days, give you a little more breathing room to get everything done, get your financing lined up, get your inspections set up. That's important. Difference of 15 days could be the difference between losing a deal and losing your deposit and not. And that's something that the buyer's agent, you, are going to bring to the table for them. Other things, you may have a foreign buyer. As Arlindo mentioned the other day in the lecture, you know, you're going to have investors that are going to come to you. They're going to want to buy properties, perhaps even in this Mercedes project. They're not going to want to use their name. They're going to want to set up a corporation. They're going to want to put it in the corporation's name. That gets tricky. You've got to help them with that. They're not going to be able to do that on their own. They're not going to be able to work their way through some of the laws and some of the IRS requirements, things that even if you don't know them yourself, you'll be able to get them those answers. So if it's a foreign corporation, they need a buyer's agent to look out for them and make sure they're doing this deal properly. What else do you have? Contingency clause, okay? If you go ahead and you're going to take out a loan for a property and that loan doesn't come through, if you don't have a contingency clause in that document, you're out. You're going to have a problem. You find out you didn't qualify for the loan, too bad, no contingency clause, you lose your money. And that's something you as a buyer's agent are going to fight for. I had a deal over in Flatiron right here, and I was dealing with the developer, and I was insisting on a contingency clause. And developer said, we don't do those in our contracts. And I said, well, then you don't have a buyer here. And they folded. I was the first person that they agreed to put a contingency clause into that document. That's important. You got to fight for that. That's something you as the agent for the buyer is going to bring to the table. Inspection period. If you rely on their agent, they're going to put 5 days to give you an inspection. You're not going to get an inspection done in 5 days, and you're going to blow it, and you could blow the deal. You lose your deposit. Sell them on the fact that you're going to fight to get them an adequate inspection period. 15 days gives you enough breathing room to locate somebody, set up the appointment. They get in there, they do the inspection, they give you your report, lets you know whether there's issues that you got to deal with. So that's something that you, as an agent for the buyer, can bring to their attention. HOAs, if there's homeowners associations, there's going to be riders. Those riders need to be part of the contract. You need to make sure that they get that information, that it's part of the contract. If they're not represented, that could be overlooked. It could be a problem. They need to know what they're stepping into when they buy in a building or a place that has an HOA, a homeowners association. You may have a situation where the property doesn't appraise out. In fact, that's what blew the deal for me in the Flatiron. And I had a appraisal contingency where if it does not appraise out, you can back out of the deal, you get your money back. I had a deal for a certain price, and at the time, appraisers were being very, very conservative, and it didn't appraise out. I tried to use that to get the developer to lower the price. He wouldn't budge. I got out of the deal. I got 100% of my deposit money back because I had an appraisal contingency in there. That's something that you as a buyer's agent will be able to fight for them. It's another selling point. It's another tool in your chest of tools to be able to sell yourself to them and sell why they need an agent on their side. Post-occupancy, sometimes the seller will want to stay in the property longer. It's going to require specific language. They could get it wrong. They could find themselves wanting to get into their property after they close, and they don't realize that they obligated themselves to leave the seller in there for a month, 2 months, 6 months. That's something that you're going to watch out for. That's something that you bring to the table. You've got conditional sales. If something is conditioned, if the sale is conditioned on certain requirements, you as an agent for them will make sure that it's done properly, that it has the proper language, the proper terms in the contract. These contracts, sometimes they can be 20, 25 pages. Most buyers could be very smart, very educated, but if they're not doing this on a regular basis, they're not going to know what they're doing, and they could run into some big trouble. Use that as a selling point to sell yourself on why they need you as an agent. Another big one, there could be outstanding assessments, open permits, things that the seller is going to want to avoid paying, but you as the buyer or the buyer's agent are going to want to make sure that they're protected. You're going to want to make sure that any assessments that have been levied are going to be paid by the seller. It needs to be in the contract. Or maybe there's going to be future assessments coming down the road. So they need you to look out for that. And if they don't have somebody that's looking out for them, they could walk into a real mess. I just called on a property the other day that was on the water. It was a ridiculous price for a 2-bedroom, remodeled, beautiful. I called the HOA president. I spoke to him. Guess what I found out? They have 3 assessments that are already implemented and a 4th on the way. You have a ton of people that are in that building that own, they cannot make the assessments. They're fire saling these things. But if you're the buyer, beware that you're going to be paying an HOA of about $3,000 a month on a $250,000 condo. So these are things that you can bring to the table to protect the buyer. Use that as a selling point. The one that most people always use as their number one biggest argument is, well, we'll fight for the best price. That's not as big a selling point as you would think. People think they're good negotiators. A buyer's going to say, I can do just as good a job as any agent can in negotiating this contract. I do this, I do that. Different ball game, okay? There's things that they don't know, that they don't have access to. You can negotiate for them, but it's not going to be a huge selling point for them because they're going to think in their mind, they can do that themselves. They're good at negotiating. So don't use that as your big pitch. I can get you a better price. Everybody's telling them that. They're thinking otherwise. Put that at the end. Use all of these other points that they don't know about and that you're educating them about so that they say, oh, wow, I never really thought about that. Gee, I didn't know that. And by the time you hit them with about 10 or 12 of these, they're going to walk away saying, you know what? I really do need a buyer, an agent for the buyer. So you need to educate and let them see why they need you. And getting a good price is just a small part of it. It's not the major part of it. Use these other ones. One other example. A buyer's agent will have access to stuff that's not on the MLS. Pocket listings. Some companies, you got 80 real estate agents. Every real estate agent could have access to pocket listings that they have for their good clients, and their clients don't want it on the MLS. So it gets passed in-house. It gets spoken about amongst the people in the organization. It gets put up on their chat. The buyer is not going to have access to that. So you can open up all sorts of doors to them, to properties either to live in or to buy for an investment that they're not going to have access to otherwise. Take that list that I just gave you, put it together, and you will be able to sell yourself as to why a buyer needs an agent. Now, I'm going to move to point number 2. And I'm just going to ask to hold the questions. This is somewhat redundant because Orlando did this the other week. I just want to really hit it home how important these points are. I was talking to Orlando because I live in this area and I see this Mercedes project going up. And I listened to the lecture that was given the other week, and it's going to be the premier luxury apartment in the area. It's going to be an A+ building. But something struck me. I was sitting here with my legal assistant, Jennifer, and we were saying, you know, that immediate area is not necessarily the prime area of Brickell. And we were talking about it and we said, all right, well, why isn't it? Well, number one, it's not sitting amongst other A+ buildings like you have on the water. It's not sitting as part of Brickell City Center. It's not sitting right across from Mary Brickell Village. It's sitting next to a school that my kids actually go to. So I see every morning when I drop them off, all the kids going into the school. And when I pick them up, I see all the kids coming out of school, walking right past that Mercedes project. It's something to think about. 2 blocks away, you got a 7-Eleven. There's traffic there, sometimes not the most savory of people traveling through that 7-Eleven. You got a fire station, which is right down the block. Sometimes you got the fire alarms going off. Now, you cannot steer people away from a project, number one, or away from an area. That's counterproductive to what we're trying to do. We're trying to sell that building as the most luxurious building out there. But we don't want to be caught in a position where, let's say you've got an out-of-town or out-of-country investor, person invests millions of dollars in 2 or 3 units, never looks at the area. buys there, and then comes to the area at some point in the future, sees the immediate vicinity and says, well, wait a second, why didn't you tell me about this? So how do you disclose to people what's in that neighborhood without souring them? I suggest that you tell them, take a look at the area, see what you think. You don't have to say anything negative. Just tell them, take a look at the area. What do you do if they're out of the country? You say, hey, you know, number one, you got kids? Great. There's a school there that tends to pre-K all the way up to 6th grade. You can walk your kids to school. What a great thing to have. Now, you've just told them there's a school close by, but you put a positive spin on it. Now they know. They can't accuse you of saying, you never told me I was going to have 100,000 kids. It's not 100,000, I'm exaggerating, but you get the point. You didn't tell me about all these kids running by my apartment building. Now you've told them, but you did it in a positive way. Hey, you know what? There's a 7-Eleven 2 blocks away. Late at night, you get the munchies, you want to get something to eat, you can run down the block and get something to eat. You just told them there's a 7-Eleven close by. You made it a positive, where if you're there, you may not necessarily look at it as a positive. So you need to make sure that when you're dealing with Mercedes, you pump it as a luxurious A-plus project, but just keep in mind, it's not on the water. It's not sitting on Brickell City Center, so that nobody ever accuses you of failing to disclose. But it's a very fine line. You don't want to steer people away from there, but you got to give them disclosure. So talk about those issues, put a positive spin on it, and then you will have fulfilled your duty as a real estate agent, and it won't come back to haunt you. Orlando, it's all yours.
All right, Scott, thank you. Thank you for your input. I remember the day we had the conversation, and I thought it was something good to point that out to all the agents. And also to point the things, how we present our services. It's always good to be reminded of the points of good service that we provide that we most of the time are not aware of, because we've been doing business regularly for so many years and we don't even know exactly what is it that we do. And it's always good to be pointed at. And I appreciate you to bring that to us. Thank you. Guys, if you have any question to Scott about the Mercedes project or anything else about the neighborhood, this is the time. Kyle, go ahead.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, Scott, for your time.
Sure, Kyle.
I have a quick question. Regarding the post occupancy part that you mentioned. I'm not sure if I fully understand how we can bring the positive aspect of that part.
You said
Could
the
you please clarify?
post occupancy?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you have a seller and they want to sell the unit, but they cannot leave the property for 3 months because they're going to be purchasing something else. It's being built, it's not ready. So they're going to want to sell the property, but they're going to want to sell it subject to being able to stay in the property for 90 days after the closing date. You're going to need specific language in there. Now, keep in mind, you're walking a fine line in that you can't start modifying a contract and cross the line to practicing law. So if you have that situation where you've got a seller that wants to stay post-occupancy beyond the closing date, then you need to get special language in there for that. And that's something that a buyer's agent will need to help a buyer with, to make sure they understand you're going to buy this property, you're going to close on it, but it's conditioned on you letting the seller stay in there for a certain period of time. And we're going to have to put specific language to that effect. Are you okay with that? Otherwise, a buyer doesn't have an agent, seller can put that clause in there and bury it somewhere in a 20-page complicated sales contract, and the buyer signs and never realizes they're ready to move in on the closing day or the next day, and they can't get into the property for 90 days.
Okay, I understand now.
That answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely clear. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right, great. Any other question? All right, good. So Now we're going to move on to the third part of our meeting, which is about the real estate market in Miami. Scott, once again, thank you for your input. I really appreciate that. And
My
it's
pleasure.
great to have you
Anytime,
with our
Orlando.
team.
Anytime.
So I am trying to set up presentations for all these new developments. And unfortunately, not everybody is available to go, but whoever is being able to attend those meetings, they are seeing what is going on in Miami and getting excited. The last presentation that we went was in North Bay Village, was the project called Shoma Bay. And I was excited about all the things that's happening in Miami. And I said, you know what, we need to share those informations. And I took the chance during the presentation at the South Center to call the agents that were there. And then I had a little meeting with them. And some of them brought me some questions on how they could promote those things. And this is what we're going to see, because there's so many rumors out there. And I'm always saying that people are building their opinion based on rumors, when we should be building or creating our opinions based on facts. And that's what it is. And there's so many rumors. People come and talk about different things. Oh, market is bad, the market is this, or this thing with the NAR. And you created this atmosphere of negativity around you. You're not even motivated to go out there and get clients. And this is your profession. This is your job. And this is what you should be doing. And you should be motivated about it every day. So let's look into this. I want to share my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So we're going to talk about what's going on in Miami. You know, is price really going down, or is the price really going to come down? Look, we have so many new constructions, and that is the balance. This is like a scale. When we had the crash in 2008, there was no new construction. So market was really bad. When the market started going up is when the builders start building again. And if you look at what's going on in Miami, they're building everywhere. Price is going up and will continue to go up because of all those constructions, because of all the buyers that are coming to Miami. We got people that come from all over the country and all over the world. So Miami is changing, and we already talked about this in the past. Miami is changing to become like a new Manhattan. And even Scott mentioned that it's becoming like a big city. And we need to be aware of the things that is happening, so we know we do have products to sell. We do have prices, and prices are going up, not coming down anytime soon. So we need to act now, because we are on the best place at the best time. So let's look in. I just picked a few new constructions, not all of it, because the website was full of new constructions. Now look at this. Look at how many we have. So just on this page, we get 10. Brickell Avenue, Miami Beach, Brickell, Edgewater, and then you have another one on Brickell, Fort Lauderdale, North Bay Village, Harbor Island. But those are not the only one. Look at that. Another 10. All in Miami. Look at that. Another 10. Those are all new constructions, all new buildings that's coming out. And this is bringing the price up, right? So now, what got me excited in North Bay Village? That was the last project that we went last week. That got me very excited about what is going on in North Bay Village and what's going to happen in North Bay Village. You guys that were been here for many years, you saw what happened in Wynwood. Wynwood was not a very good place. Prices were very low. And then suddenly something happened, and then prices start going up. And then if you look at the prices in Wynwood now, it's very high. And this is going to happen in North Bay Village. So let me show you. They put it together what happened in Miami in different areas. On Brickell, how prices went up on Brickell since 2000 to 2010, and then 2011 to 2020, and then 2021. Same thing in Edgewater. And now look at North Bay Village. Between 2011 and 2020, there was nothing going on. No development were being built in North Bay Village. Why is that? Because the zoning did not allow high rises. That was the big problem. Developers didn't want to put money, invest money in North Bay Village to build a 10-story building. Now the zoning changed in North Bay Village, and now they can go up to 30-story building. That is shaking the city. All the real estate market, it's shaking in that particular city. Now, we're going to look into one project, and I'm going to show you others, okay? Shama Bay, and you see on the map where Shama Bay is located. That's going to be the first one with 30-story building, okay? Now, this is how the building is going to look like. This a big building on the left of the screen is the apartments. On the middle, you have the office buildings, and toward the left of the building, you got parking lot and Publix. That's going to be built there. Prices is still low. You can get an apartment as low as $740,000, $1,000 per square foot. They already increased the price 3 times, and all the way to the end of the constructions, they assume that it will have another 9 changes. But this is not the only build. Now, look at this area here. Let me see if I can remove this screen from here. All right, so this is the Shama Bay. They are going to build a soccer field with in conjunction with AFA, which is the Argentinian Football Association. And as you guys know, in 2026, there will be the World Cup right here in the United States, and they need a field for the professional players to train. And that is the field that they're going to build. So people will need place to stay. Soccer's, players and the soccer's family are going to need a place to stay. And Shama Bay is going to be one of the places that they can stay during this World Cup. And now you look into all these other new development. Oh, I'm sorry. I stopped. Let me bring it back here. All right. So here's what I want to do. Note. Yes. Beautiful. Draw. Now, if you look at here, this is the one that got me more excited. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the area. This is where the Univision Channel 7 is located. It's a huge place. They are moving the building to Margate, and as soon as the signal is up and they can start transmitting from the new place in Margate, they will demolish whatever they have there, and they're going to build a beautiful, beautiful building. That's going to bring the price in all North Bay Village up. Let me show you. Now, here is the building. I'm going to post on our chat a video about this project here. And let me bring this thing up so I can continue to draw. Now here is going to be a huge shopping center. This is a huge shopping center right at the bay on the water. He's going to be the first building that will be built. They will build 5 different buildings in that location. And then you see the style of all these buildings here. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to change North Bay Village. This is awesome. And if we act now and show people what is going on in Miami and what is going on in North Bay Village, this is the time for investors to put their money in North Bay Village before the price goes up as much as you cannot get a good return of investment. This is the time. Now it's where the Alex, I invite Alex to be here because people were asking me, Arlindo, how do I put the word out there? I'll tell you very soon. I just wanted right now, just to show you what I said about pricing in Miami. Now, look at this. Guys, this is the stats for Miami that you got from the Association of Realtors. Comparing March 2024 to March 2023, everybody says that the price is going down. So let's see if this is true. I don't need to do that work. They have done the work for me and put the stats right in front of me so I can look at it. Now, look, the median price in 2023 was 570,000. And right now in 2024, the median price is 650. What happened? Price went up. By what? 14%. Price went up by 14%. Now, you got buyers waiting for the price to go down. You tell me when the price is going to go down because I don't see it. Right? I don't see it. Now, look the median time to sell. This is a calculation they do from the moment you post the listing to the moment you close. Right? So how long is it going to take? When I immediately put the property on the MLS to the moment I close the deal. Now, the time decreased by 4%. So it's closing faster. Now it's taking 70 days from the moment you put the house on the market to the moment you close the deal. And we talk about single family. I'm going to show you condominiums because the difference is not that much. Right? So we are still low in inventory. It's taking like 4 months to sell all 3,700 houses available for sale in Miami-Dade. 4 months mean that we are low in inventory. Right? Now let's look into condominiums. Median price in March 2023, a year ago, was 400,000. Now the price is 445, which means that the price went up by 11.3%. I don't see price going down, right? The price went up by 11%. Now, the median time in sale, that's increased. It's taking a little longer from the moment you list the property to the moment you close a condominium. But it's taking about 80 days to close the deal. Now that you guys saw all of those things, let me stop sharing here. Give me a second. I want to. Yeah, I already did. All right, great. So I pointed out, price is not coming down. We have so many new constructions. I showed you North Bay Village. Scott, I saw your expression during the presentation. Do you have anything to add to what you saw?
On what you just showed me,
Yes.
you're gonna laugh, but I literally just turned to Jennifer and I said, I want to go up there. I want to look around. I said, forget about other people. I want to buy up there. I'm going to buy up there.
Mm-hmm.
You're crystal clear on this one. I mean, they removed the cap from 10, raised it to 30. You got the soccer field coming in there. This place is going to explode. Forget 11%. I think you're going to see huge returns. Huge.
Huge. Yes. Huge.
I'm putting my money there.
Now, you see why I'm excited about this meeting? There's
Again,
so many things going on. We have like a gold in our hand, but we are not able to spread the news. That's why I brought Alex, because I had agents that were asking me, Orlando, how can I spread this news?
how can I get your diagrams? I was sitting here taking pictures of it, but how can I get a copy of it? Is that
I'll
possible?
send it to you. I'll post in our chat group the presentation, then you have it.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, great. So now talking about what the agents were asking me on how I put the word out there. I met Alex Montalenti. I met Alex about, I don't know, I think it was 6 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. And Alex is involved in social media, helping agents in particular to promote themselves. And I had a meeting with him last week on Friday, especially to invite him to be here. And he gave me so many good ideas, like free ideas, things that we can do ourselves. And of course, he has his service that he can provide that will add value to what we're going to do. Okay. So, Alex, thank you for being here with us. I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want you to be here next week to give us a full presentation. Okay. But, take the time you need, because we want to hear what you have to say. We want to promote this thing. And you saw what you heard, Scott. He's excited about himself as an investor, and also bring this news to other people. We need to know how to put the word out there. Alex, once again, thank you for being here with us. The word is yours, and you have our attention.
All right. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we're good.
Awesome. So how many people feel like what Arlindo shared is valuable information? It's gold. More people need to know about it. Right? Like, I live in the area. I live on Miami Beach. I lived in Surfside. I watch that area and I go, when is this thing going to finally, get developed? At the same time, I'm like, I hope it doesn't get developed because it's kind of nice the way it's a neighborhood. But seriously, property is limited in Miami. So of course they're going to develop everywhere, right? So this is gold. He just told you a story that literally we could take his story and promote it online on social media and position yourself as an expert in that local area. Personally, as a local, I'm interested in that information. I haven't heard anybody on social media talk about it. So if Arlindo got on video and started doing Facebook Live or Instagram Live or getting on LinkedIn or doing a YouTube video about it, I'd tune in and I'd be like, wow, this is valuable information. I want to do an investment, just like Scott Kotler said. Hey, this is looking good. I want in. So here's the biggest thing missing, though. And I work with, over 500,000 realtors in the country. The biggest thing missing on social media, can anybody guess what it is for the real estate industry?
No.
And I'll give you a clue. I'm looking at 5 people on video out of 25. The biggest thing missing on social media is you being on social media, you turning on your video, you pressing record, right?
Yeah,
personally, I don't even tolerate meetings where people don't show up on video, because it's like, we're here to engage with each other. If you're going to capture all the information I'm about to put out, I want to know that you're all tuned in. You're not making lunch, you're not making your coffee, you're not multitasking, and I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just saying, we all need to show up, right? When we show up all in. When we go on social media, we show up all on social media. And I'm watching, this is the crazy part. I'm watching people brand new in the business absolutely crush it and destroy it in real estate because they're going around to new developments, recording beautiful videos, and looking like they're the only ones listing in that building. And guess what? They're getting the followers, they're getting the likes, they're getting the appointments. So this is like really a time when there's a big difference happening between agents who show up online and those that don't, right? And there's a big difference between those that have a solid reputation on Google and those that don't. And there's a big difference between those that have thousands of followers on Instagram and those that don't.
More video?
Right?
No.
It's okay. Continue.
Yeah, perfect. So this is what we teach, right? Like I teach for the National Association of Realtors. I speak at their conventions. I speak for major brands. And what we teach is how to be an influencer, right? And the truth is, it doesn't matter how big your database is. Maybe you only have 100 people in your database. Maybe you've got 10,000 people in your database. At the end of the day, each and every one of you is an influencer because you're influencing people's purchasing decisions. You're an authority in the matter, right? It's an opportunity for you to share the story about North Bay Village. It's an opportunity for you to share the story about Miami. Look at the mayor of Miami. He's all over the country speaking about the story of Miami, how it's growing, how it's becoming a technology capital, how it's like Bitcoin, how it's cryptocurrency, how all these people are coming to Miami, right? He's telling a story about Miami. And that's making him an influencer throughout the entire country. Like he's like up against New York City right now. Like Miami's, let's look at Miami versus New York City, right? And that's a big difference there. But he's actually challenging that. So this is your opportunity to really share a story. And I think Arlindo is laying you up. He's like, hey, here's one story you could tell. Here's another building you could talk about. Here's another building you could talk about. And the nice thing is, 4 years ago, I would say you need to go out and buy a really fancy camera, and you got to buy a really fancy tripod, and you got to have a video editor following you around and all this stuff. But that's not the case anymore. Now all you need is like start shooting some video, start getting some basic video editing done, and I'll give you some free resources. First of all, CapCut for editing your videos is a really easy tool. You can use Fiverr. That's what we use, Fiverr.com, and you can find people that'll edit your videos for $25 a video. They'll put B-roll in there. They'll put beautiful background images of Miami, drone shots, you name it. Right? And now with AI, forget about it. You don't even have to write your own script. You could literally go to pi.ai and say, write me a video script for a brand new development and talk about the market in Miami. And it'll write you a video script. And now all you got to do is read it. Right? You could even synthesize your entire persona. So it literally just takes a video of you and lip syncs the whole thing for you. If you're scared of being on video. Yeah, which one?
The website that upload the videos.
So you have, for video editing, you have CapCut.
Can
It's
you
pretty popular.
tap on our chat, please? All those links that you mentioned for the video editing, the PI for creating the scripts. Thank you.
Yep, hold on.
All right, then
CapCut for video editing, pi.ai for scripting or any questions really. You have Fiverr, Fiverr.com for video editors. And I'm going to give you all a list of all the great AI resources that I've created. I'll give you an opportunity to download that.
Great, thanks.
But those are just a few, right? A lot of the times it's just about starting to get comfortable with this. A lot of people have fear around video and being on video and, how do I look and all that and what do people think? And I would recommend that for those of you that have that going on, just start recording yourself without publishing it. Just record it for yourself and watch it, get comfortable with yourself on video. And then when you're finally ready to release it, you release it. For those of you that are more intermediary, where you've done some video, Then you want to start bringing in a little video editing, bring in that Fiverr.com editor, bring in B-roll, you know, do some video editing with CapCut and take it to the next level. And for those of you that are like, hey, I'm already there, Alex, I'm on YouTube and I've got thousands of subscribers, then you might want to look at somebody like Sean Cannell that runs a video academy. I just went to his event. Dave Ramsey spoke there. It's pretty awesome. And they can teach you like really how to take it to the next level. Okay. Now, here's the thing. You can share all of these stories, but a lot of the times what I see is that a lot of you don't have your stuff really set up the right way. So you're kind of on a shaky foundation. You know, like maybe your Instagram isn't set up the right way. Maybe your Facebook business page isn't set up the right way. Maybe your YouTube channel is not even made yet, or maybe you've got duplicate channels. Some of that stuff needs to also get worked out, right? And we're in a market, you know, I heard Arlindo talk about the NAR settlement, and it's really all about perspective, okay? I just came from the NAR legislative meetings where all of the top presidents of every board and association, all they were talking about was the settlement and how's this going to go, et cetera. And here's the perspective that I would offer you. I've been in the industry 23 years. My mom was a realtor. Okay. She came from Romania. If it wasn't for real estate, she wouldn't have made it in America. She made it in America because she had initiative. She was an entrepreneur. She was committed. She started from scratch, worked in a factory, and then got her real estate license. And she retired and moved to Williams Island, right? So she did all this. And back then, I would say that when my mom did real estate in the 90s, realtors were really high respected, okay? Because my mom had the keys to the castle. You couldn't get the data online. You had to go through my mom. She had the book. She could get the keys and she'd get you in the door. It was very respect, and people, if you shopped around with somebody, they wouldn't cheat on you, right? With another realtor. There was like a certain level of respect. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? So here's what happened. Then the real estate data went online. And my mom is struggling with technology. That's why I got in the business. I became her digital marketing assistant, helped her with all of that. And I got to see that my mom started becoming the commodity, right? People would go online to Zillow, go online to Realtor, and find the property and then say, oh, I just need some Realtor to do the deal for me. And I'm over exaggerating, but I just want you to get the picture, right? Now what's happening is a shift back to a realtor centric industry. This is a huge opportunity for you all. I know there's not a lot of listing inventory, but it's an opportunity for you to get the hands back on the respect of a realtor, because yeah, you're going to need buyer agreements and all of that, right? People aren't going to cheat on you because they're going to have to sign something to shop with you. And now's an opportunity to create your value online as the most trusted real estate professional in the industry. And what that is about is having the data, having the expertise, knowing about the new buildings that are going up, having visited them, and knowing the market, being able to answer the questions, understanding the contracts. Yes, people are going to need to level up their game. And that's a beautiful thing because it creates a different level of respect in the industry, right? And I think this is the opportunity for you all to really start showcasing your value online, your expertise, your knowledge, start sharing it on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. And you know, Arlindo is laying you up. So, you know, that's what I see working in the industry is people are always, you know, getting the information early, sharing that information, and being an authority on the subject matter. So there's plenty of tools out there for that. And I haven't even got to share my screens yet, but I just want to share that. Arlindo, any thoughts or feedback on that before I move on?
No, it's amazing. I'm amazing. I love what you're saying, man. It's
Okay, cool.
I'm happy you're here with us. I'm gonna make you a host if you want to share your screen.
And just a quick funny story about Arlindo, how we met. Arlindo probably doesn't even know this, but I was building my business many years ago, and you know, it's difficult to get a broker to get on the phone. So what did I do? I parked my car in the parking lot and I walked to every single real estate office in the area. and cold turkey met Arlindo, pitched him on what I can offer and provided value. He saw value, he brought me in and we did a presentation, and we've known each other ever since. All right, so it's really about putting yourself out there, providing value, and people are going to work with you. So let me share my screen here and give you a little background on what we can do here. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. So this is my mom, by the way. If you see her around town in Williams Island, she's retired now. Her name's Adriana. And this is the house that she worked so hard to put a down payment on when she came from literally $0 at JFK Airport, escaping communism in Romania. So she really built it from scratch. And I really think that's why I'm so committed to this industry, because the industry was so generous with my mom when she didn't know technology, when she didn't know how to do real estate transactions. Brokers like Arlindo taught her. And she was able to make an entire living, support me and my brother as a single mom, and then retire, all from real estate. So it's like, you can, this is a commitment for me. I actually work with the National Association of Realtors. They invested in our company. Arlindo doesn't know that, but that just happened last year. We hit the Inc. 5000 as one of the fastest growing companies. And what we really do is we help realtors with this challenge that you have. Is like, Alex, all this stuff sounds great, but I don't even know where to start. It's complex, it's frustrating. I don't have time for this. How do I even get my stuff set up? And that's where we come in. What RealGrader does is we measure, manage, and maximize your digital presence. So we've actually built a platform that tells you how you're doing online, on Google, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and then on your real estate profiles like Realtor, Zillow, and Homes.com. And we've graded 90,000 agents in the country, and these are the biggest mistakes that you all are making. Some of you are making these, and maybe all of you are making these. We don't know until we look. But it's inconsistent social media, lack of branding, broken links, outdated information, inappropriate or negative content, missing profiles like you don't have a YouTube channel or you don't have a Google business page, duplicate profiles, maybe you've got 2 LinkedIn, 2 Facebook. So this is like the foundation. Like, if you don't have a good foundation, how are you going to build a good social media presence? So we look at the foundation first. And here's CEO of Remax Estate Properties out in California. He's got a solid foundation online. He's got a Google business page. You look him up, you see videos, right? Google owns YouTube. So your videos, once you start doing them about properties or buildings or new developments, will start to get indexed by Google. And this is going to make you look solid. When you're asking for that commission on the buyer side and they look you up and they see a presence like this, you can demand whatever you want. Okay, buyer side value is really a thing, and your online presence is how you show up on Google. We work with Tom Ferry. He says what Google says about your business is what people know about your business. So, for all of you, have you Googled yourself lately? Do you know what you look like online? Are you dabbling or are you going all in? Dabbling is like this on the left, a couple trees up on the house, a couple lights up on the house. All in is on the right where I got all the lights up. So when it comes to your online presence, your buyer side value, your real estate expertise value, Google is dictating that until they meet you. Right? So all of this has to be dialed in. A lot of you might look like this when we Google you. Blank realtor.com or blank LinkedIn, your service areas. For example, here's a perfect case. North Bay Village, if you're servicing that area and on realtor.com and on Zillow and on homes.com, you don't have North Bay Village as one of the service areas, you won't even show up on the list when somebody looks for an agent in that area. That's for everybody. I guarantee there are people on this call that don't have that set up. We work with the #1 Remax team in the world. Your branding also showcases where you work, how professional you look. So, what I'm showing you right now is just a lot of online presence stuff. We graded 100 top producers at 5 different brands. The average grade was a 45 out of 100. Most agents score low. And these are the consequences if you're not set up. You miss opportunities, you don't have credibility, you don't have a presence online, you're not sharing your story online. So you're not going to meet people. Your sphere is not going to even know that you're a realtor. They're not going to know that you know about North Bay Village, or that you know about Sunny Isles, or that you know about Miami Beach, right? So I'm skipping ahead a little bit just because we're going to come back next time. I'm going to be giving you all today all of my guidebooks. These were published in the National Association of Realtors store. A guidebook on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, specifically for real estate, how to set up your profiles properly, how to get it done so it looks professional. So if you want these guidebooks, I'm also going to give you the top list of AI tools for real estate. I spoke about this at the Miami Association of Realtors, at their Rock the Market event and other events. And these are just some of them. This is Adobe Firefly. This is to remove backgrounds on your image. So for example, if you had a video of a local development and you wanted to place your image as a transparency over the video, you could use Adobe Firefly to do that. Another tool is video.ai. This one is really great. You upload a link to a video and it'll create multiple pieces of content using AI. I'm going to give you this whole list so you don't even need to take notes on this. List Assist helps you write automated property descriptions. So to get all of these guidebooks and all this list, I set up an autoresponder. Just text the word books to that phone number, and it'll automatically respond with the links to both of those for you. So all you do is you go text 516-400-4161 for those listening in, and then text the word books, and then it'll start to ask you a couple questions, and then it'll auto respond. I'll give you a second there to grab these. And this isn't for me to spam you. I don't have time for that. This is just really my fastest way to give you goodies and give you value.
I got it.
Awesome. And you can share this, Arlindo, with the rest of your team for those that didn't make it today.
Yeah, I'll share the link because the link is the same, right?
Yeah, the same texting. Yeah, the same guidebook text.
Arlindo, when is his next meeting?
I don't know exactly what the day will be. I'm going to have this conversation with Alex to see his schedule, but it will be next week. Okay.
Yeah, and let me get.
People would be
You
crazy.
can tell me today, Alex, if you have your schedule in front of you, we can schedule your next meeting today and take the chance that everybody's.
Yeah, let me get back to you just to make sure I want to make sure I look at the calendar properly and give you a good time. But we'll definitely get that on the books. We've helped over 20,000 agents. We got selected as Product of the Year by the Miami Association of Realtors. I speak at headquarters quite often. But one of the other things that I want to share with you is that we actually, as a Miami Association member, you get a free digital card from our company that we already made for you. Okay, and that's another great thing to be using when you're networking with people. This digital card's not a photo of your card. It's actually a full-blown digital card and website. And through Miami Association of Realtors, because the CEO, Teresa Kinney, offered this as a member benefit, you get it for free. And so if you want that, you just go to instacardmiami.com. I'll put that in the chat as well, just so everybody, or if somebody could do that for me, just put Instacard Miami, not to be confused with the shopping tool. It's not Instacart. We are Instacard.
Alex,
I wish I was Instacart, but yeah.
Quick question, Alex.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you only work with realtors or you work in any other fields?
No, we work with all fields. We mainly focus on real estate just because I have those industry relationships, but we've helped everything from lawyers to title to mortgage to restaurants, coaches, you name it.
Good, we'll talk.
Sounds good.
So can you spell Instacart? You can put it?
Yeah, actually, let me see if I can put it in there for you. I'm on an iPad, so it's hard. It's IN, like Insta, like Instagram, and then Instacard, CARD, and then Miami.com. And we actually pre-built it for all 60,000 members already.
All right, good.
So the last thing I'll cover with you all, because we're going to do the full presentation in a little while, is on that next presentation that I do with you all, whether it's me or Alex Ayub, we are going to be Googling one of the top producers in the office. And why we do this with offices all over the country. We get somebody in the hot seat and we say, hey, what would happen if your customer Googled you? So we'll Google a top producer. We'll show you, your mistakes that you're making on Google, the mistakes you may be making on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube, and then we'll show you how it's supposed to look. And what I'm going to offer to all of you, this is an opportunity that I just made for Arlindo because he's like, can you do something nice for my team? I created this autoresponder, and this will give you a free live audit one-on-one with one of my team members. We will Google you on a Zoom call for 15 to 20 minutes and show you all the deficiencies that you have online. And of course, if you see that you're really deficient with your online presence and you want help, we do have a service for that we'll talk about in the next meeting. But this is an opportunity just to get a free live audit. We've done this for over 90,000 agents, and we always are able to find mistakes. I have never met an agent, doesn't matter if they were top, that had a perfect score.
And how do we do that?
just
How do
for-
we take advantage of this offer?
So you just text the word Google to that same phone number,
Oh, okay.
and it'll auto respond with a link to our calendar, and then you'll have a digital audit scheduled.
All right.
And I recommend you do that before our next meeting, because in the next meeting, we're going to show you how to solve a lot of that. But if you do it beforehand, you'll really get a flavor for what you personally look like online. Because I can only do it generally picking one top producer, but this gives you each the opportunity to do it individually in private. And you'll be blown away. You even if for those of you that think you've got it dialed in, I mean, literally the #1 Remax team in the world. At first he was like, no, I'm good. I have like 14 people marketing for me. He got on my podcast. He was so happy, so impressed with what we did, and then so happy with the service we provided that he actually became an investor in our company and, basically helps us throughout the country. And he had the highest score I'd ever seen. He had an 82 out of 100. So that's pretty much my story for today. I encourage you all to take advantage of these free tools. And I just want to ask a few of you, what are your biggest takeaways? Maybe start with Arlindo, kick it off, and then we take it to a few people and see what is your biggest takeaway, and then what's the biggest action you can take from here.
All right. So, Alex, thank you. I remember when we had the conversation and I asked you to come, and then you mentioned about the videos and some ideas that we could produce those videos by ourselves. But you mentioned something important that was called my attention, is that I can have the video in my hand, but I still don't have anything if it's not online. And you have a system that I can upload those videos to your system or any posts that your system will post instantly in all social medias that will keep me posting constantly, because that's the idea. If I post something to do, I'm going to take 1 week to post something else, then it's not ideal. But you have a system in place, right? Can you brief me again what this system does?
Yeah, exactly. So our company's called Real Grader because we measure, manage, and maximize your digital presence. So the measure part is where we provide the free Google audit of your online presence and tell you the mistakes you're making. The manage part is where we actually do it for you. We fix your Google business. We fix your Facebook, your Instagram, your LinkedIn. We set everything up for success. And then maximize is where we give you a social media management platform where all you got to do is use this central platform and it'll go to all the channels. It'll go to Facebook, it'll go to Instagram, it'll go to LinkedIn, it'll go to Google Business. It can even go to YouTube and TikTok if you're on those channels, right? So not only are we, trying to help you get awareness of where you stand, but then because you're busy and some of you may or may not be tech savvy, we actually do it for you. We've got a team of 44 experts. We've been doing this for years now, 5 years. And then we maximize it for you by growing you on all these social media platforms.
Great.
And that could be whether you're doing the videos yourself or not. Of course, every time you show up, that's when you're going to get the highest engagement. I can make the most beautiful post for you, but I'm telling you, each one of you are the rock stars in the industry. You're the rock star for your community, for your sphere. They want to see you.
Mhm.
Yeah, we got great content. I could put out videos about new developments all day, but until they see your face, they don't know that you're the one behind the video or you're the one involved in this.
That's true.
You know, when you're scrolling down the feed, where do we stop? We stop with the people that we recognize and we know.
And putting our face out there is the best way to do it. Look, what can I tell you is that I'm very excited. Like I said at the beginning of the meeting, I was excited about this meeting, and you were the key to end this meeting the way we are, like the top of the ice cream. So it was a pleasure having you here, Alex. Do you have your schedule?
Let me take a look right now. Give me 1 second. So when do you do your meetings? On Tuesdays?
Well, we can do it any day.
So Alex Ayub can do it next week. I'm actually traveling to Canada for a real brokerage conference I'm speaking at. So it would have to be the following week, or Alex Ayub can definitely do it next week. He's one of my top national speakers.
Yes. But I think, we got comfortable with you.
Yeah,
We
I
had
feel you.
you today, so it will be better if we can have you. How about this week? Do you have anything for Friday?
Let me see 1 second. Friday, I only have. No, I don't have. Sorry. I do not have this Friday. I can definitely do it the week of the 28th through 31st.
Okay, let me look in here, 28 to 31st. Okay, so it will be 2 weeks from now. Yeah, what I didn't want to is that right now everything is so freshy. We have our heart burning about all this
Yeah.
contents, and if we take 2 weeks, we're gonna get cold.
But you know what, Arlindo? That gives
Yes.
that gives you 2 weeks to have every single one of these windows filled up with how many realtors do we have?
Got 66.
And we hammer it for 2 weeks so that you got a full house.
Yeah, we can try to do that.
And I would say in the meanwhile, to leverage the time, each of you get your free Google audit, because then you're gonna come to the table, to the presentation, having seen what you look like online, and talking about how we can get it all fixed.
So how about 29, Wednesday, 1 p.m.?
Yep, that's free.
All right, great. So we do it on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Guys, you already know, you guys that are here, put on your calendar that Tuesday, the 29, is that Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday, right?
That's Wednesday. Do you have Tuesday the 28th available?
Yeah, Tuesday. No, Wednesday is good. Wednesday, the 29th at 1 p.m. Mark in your calendar. So Alex will be back here with us, and he will explain everything that his company can do to us, and we'll break down into different type of services, prices, and everything. Important thing that I'm saying this all the time: you cannot be successful if you're not investing in your business. You can open up a store to sell anything you wanted, and it's not going to be free. You're going to have to pay 3 months rent. You have to pay electricity every month. You have to promote yourself. You have to have a sign on top of your store, and you have to somehow attract the business to your store. Being in a real estate business doesn't change that. You still need to promote yourself. You need to invest money in yourself to attract the clients to you. And Alex is here to give us the hand and guide us how we're going to achieve all these people and get the advantage. Good?
Yeah, the only one modification, Orlando, I just want to make sure. So I can't do the 29th. I actually taking my daughter to Epcot.
28.
I'm the chaperone. So the 28th would be available at 2 p.m. if
28
possible.
at 2.
Would that work?
Yeah, it works. Yes.
Okay.
Tuesday,
Perfect.
28th at
At
2 p.m.
Yes.
I'm going to put it here, and I'm texting you right now. Tuesday,
Perfect.
28th.
Sorry about that. I got to keep my commitments to my kids. They come first.
True. I will do the same. I will do the same. I already have some agents asking for your number. It's okay to give the number to
Yeah,
them?
of course. Yep.
Okay, great. So I'm going to pass your number and we'll be in contact. I would like to talk to you after the meeting. See when you have a time, give me a call, and
Okay.
then we go from there. All right, guys, you have any question, any comments, anything that you like to say? This is the moment.
Yeah, great information. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, very knowledgeable. Yeah, and Arlinda, you can just put it on outside his phone number because everybody would have called probably.
Yes, I'll do that.
Great.
I
Thank
just
you
I
so
just want to
much.
say thank you for the opportunity and it's really great to see that there's opportunities to really ramp up the social presence. And I have a question for Alex. You mentioned video was really the key right nowadays. A lot of us are using our phones. Is there any recommendations on like some of the phones or the hardware we should be using, or just very simple?
Well, I mean, using your phone is fine if it's a pretty, pretty new phone. Um, some of the times using cinematic mode can really make a difference. It really gives it more of like a movie-like feel. As far as, if you're doing stuff at home, I recommend some good lighting. That does really make a really big difference. And what else can I tell you? There's so many, the prices of things have gone down so much at this point. Like you can get a wireless mic set for nothing nowadays, like $30, $50. And that makes a real difference, the audio. Because you can, Miami's windy, right? So I mean, you want that audio to be good quality. Other than that, I mean, yeah, I would stay with the phone unless you're going YouTube, like, hey, I'm really taking it to the next level, then you'd want to buy a camera. And there you're going to spend like $600 for a good quality camera. But I would say cell phones nowadays, most people are creating content on their phones.
Awesome, thank you.
You got it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Lindo,
Thank you,
Alex, thank
Lindo.
you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Scott.
Scott.
Thank you, John.
Thank you so
Thank
very
you,
much.
Lindo.
2 weeks.
All right, guys.
Okay,
If
thank
you have
you.
any question, give me a
Thank you,
call.
guys.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Alex. It was a great presentation. I'm very
Thank you.
excited.
Thanks for bringing me in.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Is it baby on it?